For those of you who have seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate, you'll find Dr. Nick Begich has spent the last decade investigating the use of 21st century technologies and their effects on our brains. It probably doesn't surprise you to know that technologies that produce this effect on people actually exist. Let's hear what Dr. Begich has to say about these well-folk technologies.
Can't be ignored is that our brains are being affected by a lot of external forces, electromagnetic Can you give us a little bit of background on the ways in which we're being impacted at this time?
Sure. You know, this area is we consider the most controversial area that we've covered in the last 11 years, and it's an area that I'm committing the next 5 years to educate the public around the world on, because I think it is the most important technology. The idea of interfering with the human brain, either from external sources without our consent, is a significant issue for me. In the United States, according to Secretary of Energy O'Leary, when she was in that position in the Clinton administration, she had said that over 500,000 Americans in a 40-year period have been victims of human experimentation in the United States without their consent. You know, from syphilis being given to black men in the southeast to see how they would die over time, to radioactive iodine and opiates in Alaska to see how they would die over time, and many, many other things. One of the most extraordinary reports came out in the early 70s during a number of congressional hearings, and there was actually a presidential report issued in June of 1975, and it was on CIA abuses within the United States, and it was a report to the president. What was contained in that was a chapter talking about mind manipulation, mind manipulation, mind manipulation, using chemical means and programs, MK Ultra and their associated programs run by the Central Intelligence Agency. And all of these things are referenced in our written work. We have hundreds and hundreds of reference sources. But when you look at what they were doing then, it was primarily chemical means. At least that's what made it into the literature. When you go back even further, if you go back to, say, the Korean era, in that era we had servicemen returning from warfare, and they were exhibiting these very bizarre behaviors. These patriotic young guys were coming back and handing communist leaflets out on street corners, and this is where the term brainwashing was actually coined, in that era. And so our government began to go, can we, what did they do and can we do it too? Became the equation. So as you look all the way into the 50s and into the early 60s, these technologies were being explored. By the early 60s, we had captured a device. It was actually during the Vietnam era, and we captured a Russian device called the LIDA machine, L-I-D-A, which was actually looked at by a guy named Ross Addy, one of the leading researchers, again, for military. He looked at this, and it was used for putting military prisoners of war into trance-like states, using flickering lights and sound and electromagnetic field oscillations, so that you would get in a very relaxed state, in a state where they could extract intelligence much more efficiently from you. And that became a whole new review for military technologists in this country, thinking maybe we can use electromagnetic fields to manipulate what's going on.
For those of you who have seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate, you'll find this. The Manchurian Candidate, etc. For those of you who have seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate, you'll find this.
San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
We are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
more alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 For those of you who have seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate, you'll find this The Manchurian For those of you who have seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate, you'll find this The Manchurian Candidate.
etc.